Excuse me, but yeah, we're good. It looks like we're live. Excuse me. Welcome to all that are going to be coming on tonight here. Welcome to Your Solution Live YSL. This is number 464. We've got nobody on board yet, but we're going to go through the preliminaries here, I guess.
I don't know if
All
we're
right, Your
live.
Solution. What's that?
I don't think we're
What's
live. It
that?
says waiting for self-mastery. I'm not quite sure if this is the.
No, it says we're live, Jim.
Are we live?
Yeah, it
October
says on my
26th.
end, we're live. 45 minutes, we're into this already.
Okay.
So I'm
Gotcha.
excited to
I
be
see.
here. There we go. We have our first guest. Welcome. I'm excited to be here, Jim. Thank you for hanging out tonight. And hopefully, Jim, with our little 2 bit of brain power, maybe for the next 45 minutes or so, we can really tap into this thing called journaling. To get a little bit further, we can tap into this thing called journaling so that maybe, hopefully, we can get something out of it to help us go forward in life. Right. Help us go forward. Thank you, by the way, for the share. I'm Santos. Jim will be uh, sharing here in a minute. Jim is with us. So, episode number 464, Writing Your Way to Freedom. Welcome once again, family, to another life-changing episode. And I'm inviting you to come in here for 45 minutes. All right, grab a pen. I've already got mine. So I'm setting the example right here. I'm setting the example. I'm sure Jim's got something over there. If he didn't forget, I'm sure he's got something there. All right, grab some
Mhm.
paper, turn down all distractions, every one of them, please, for about 45 minutes or so. And let's dive in and let's grow together. All right, and become stronger, like I said, for the days ahead. If you're new, please subscribe, leave a comment. If you're a moderator, make sure that you keep an eye on the comments. We had some funny comments. Um, there is such a thing as freedom of speech, and yet we just want to keep this platform as positive as possible. I mean, we get enough bullshit as it is 24/7. So let's see if we can keep this positive, help some gamblers out tonight, especially if you're a gambler that took a big loss. If you got hit this week or this weekend and you're here, you need to pay attention to this. This is for you. Jim, before we get started, go ahead and share your thoughts on this, or what's on your mind. I'll
Yeah,
let
I'm
the juice
looking
on there.
forward to talking about journaling because I've been doing some journaling over this weekend, and I'd like to go ahead and share some of my experience this weekend on how I was able to do so.
Okay, we're gonna do that. By the way, wow, we've got quite the numbers there. If you have a question, listen, folks, I can't see for some reason I can't see. You can see the comments and questions though, right, Jim?
Yes.
So Jim is gonna be moderating for me. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share. By the way, if you like this content, if you enjoy these podcasts, we are coming on here on Wednesdays. We may be changing the time a little bit. I'm asking you to donate a love blessing, $7 or more if you can do that. There's a free quick guide. There's a coaching session available. There's a couple of ebooks. All you have to do is ask, folks. Those are all great tools. Stimulate the stimulator up here. All right. Last week we talked about, if you remember, hopefully, if you didn't have distractions, we spoke about your self-talk. Okay. And this ties along with journaling. Again, we're gonna dive into this in a minute. Your self-talk, especially if you're taking big losses, folks, you got to remember this thing right here is connected to journaling, and how you talk to yourself and how you treat yourself is going to make your world of a difference. Okay, that was last week. If you missed it, you should watch the episode. It was about self-talk. Proverb for the day is keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. All right, everything flows from your heart. Your choices, your habits, your emotions, and journaling is one of the most powerful tools for guarding and guiding your heart. So, Jim, go ahead if you want to share. One thing that I want to let folks know here, Point one, writing creates clarity. Okay, this is key point number one. Writing creates clarity, and gamblers need, or quitting gamblers need clarity. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, this weekend I started taking some hikes up the mountain, and I did this early in the morning, and I took off my Bluetooth, just put my phone in my pocket, and I just walked, in silence. And the only thing that I had were thoughts. And I find that a lot of times it can be uncomfortable because the mind can go into a lot of areas where it's negative. The self-talk can be negative, and it's a challenging place to be. But when you get into that space of being able to start thinking, you know, and reflecting, your mind can start finding solutions because things become clear. The experiences that you have, you start developing some meaning. Why certain things happen. What can you take out of all the experiences that you had, good and bad, throughout the week, right? Throughout the days, and you start, finding out, some positive things from those experiences. You find meaning, and that goes into the ability to journal right there. I mean, I had my phone, and when I got to the top of the mountain, I started typing, I started writing down all the things that had significant meaning. And I mean, like today, it's just something very kind of silly, simple. I'm walking up the mountain. There's a line that,
But important. But
yeah,
important.
important. Yeah, I'm looking at this line, and I'm walking on this line that basically keeps people over to the right-hand side for the slow walkers. And I'm walking on this line. I'm thinking about the line. Focus on the line. Focus on the line. And I'm thinking that, I can go ahead and create my own lines. The line is like a goal. It's like an idea. Where do I want to go? What's keeping me focused? I'm walking on this line. Sometimes the line isn't there, but I can create that line. And I'm thinking, it's like I just focus on the line. Some of the hills are steep up this mountain, but I just focus on this line. Step by step, I'm focusing on this line. And and all my negative thoughts, all of my imagination that can take me to negative areas and negative emotions, are pushed back because I'm focused on this line. I'm focused on taking my next step, until I'm at the top, and it didn't take any time. And I got there, and that happened just because, I was in silence. I was with my thoughts and I was concentrating on what was happening. So I encourage people to, find that space. The motivational speaker, Brian Tracy, talks about the superconscious mind. And the superconscious mind is found when you are away from distractions and you have an opportunity to think for at least 30 minutes by yourself.
Mm.
And the mind starts developing ideas, meaning, and I really believe that. But we have to be away from distractions. We distract ourselves because we're trying to escape from our problems, our family problems, our financial problems, our personal demons. And the reason why we distract ourselves is we don't want to go on and be dealing with, our own problems. But if we have the courage and the ability to just be with ourselves, think and meditate. And I like walking. I like doing that walking. And I realized that, I did running before. It's a little bit difficult. So a walk, out in nature can really, really help a person find some clarity in their mind. And that gives you the opportunity to start writing things down and journaling, and then getting that into a path of solutions.
That's some good insight right there. Uh, the line. We're gonna have to keep that for a future podcast. The line
Yeah,
with Jim's Corner. Um, let me and again, these I want to say this also. There was a thought that came to me. Let me see while you were speaking, and it's about uh we um the gambler needs, this is a practice. One thing that the gambler should understand also is that we people think that these games are rigged. I wanted to say this, that people think that these games are rigged. You know that there's games out there that are rigged. If you have a question, please post it in the comments. We're going to take a look at that and see. And I welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. I've seen some large numbers. I've never seen the numbers so high, gone up that high. So thank you for those that are visiting. The game is not rigged. There are some games that are rigged. Technology is moving deeper into the machine. So what people are finding today with the game, right? Whether it be the craps, whether it would be the slot machines, or even playing uh, the poker, these machines are set. They're not rigged. People say, "Man, these games are rigged. The casinos are rigged." No, they're set. And you might find a machine that may hit for you, right? You may find a machine. Most of the time, you're distracted and you're disillusioned and you're dismayed because you're losing to get there. Folks, whoever it is that I'm speaking to here about this, and it doesn't matter what kind of a gamble it is a choice. Okay, we've learned this. You've got to learn to talk to yourself. And this is going to help journaling. What we're talking about here, Jim mentioned going for a walk. Man, that was something that I didn't do a lot of, Jim, when I was struggling with my gambling. But one thing that I did do is I journaled the heck out of myself. And I remember writing, and I didn't have an app. This was literal writing. And I remember writing over and over that I wanted to overcome gambling. I'm going to get free. I'm going to break through. I'm going to have a super mindset. I remember writing that over and over and over and over and over and over. I'm talking about probably, maybe I shouldn't exaggerate thousands of times, but it felt like it because I remember filling up notebooks like these with the same, I don't know, 10, 15 of these. And some of them I still have, some of them are gone. I wouldn't want anybody to read what I was writing. And I probably should have kept those. They were golden. Writing, writing. By the way, I started journaling about my problems. Now my pen needs therapy. I'm just joking about that. All right, key point number 1. Jim was talking about taking a walk. That's a good and you said clarity, Jim. When you write, you see your thoughts. See, most people live on autopilot, reacting, guessing, forgetting, but when you write, you slow down the noise and make the invisible visible. Folks, this isn't a fancy podcast. We don't got a bunch of music yet. We'll have music and some things going on or what have you in the once I get further into this. Yet this is a place where we can make the invisible possible. And what is the invisible for you? I don't know. Jim knows what it's for him, right? I know what the invisible is for me. But what about you on the other side? Are you writing at all? Are you taking advantage of these tools? Who knows how long? I mean, the art of writing, period, the art of writing is gone, Jim. It really is. You don't see people sending letters anymore. You don't see people actually writing. You don't see them. It's rare, but it's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, movement is really important. Taking some kind of action. You're talking about writing, that's action right there. It's like your mind is in action. It's starting to, put some space between the problem and yourself to find solutions. I mean, like, action. When I walk, when I exercise, I'm breathing. I have a rhythm. Okay, and when you are, you're walking, you're doing a little bit of exercise. It's helping the brain, and the rhythm helps repetition. And I was thinking about these key terms. If we want, positive change, transformation, you have to be persistent. You have to be constant, and you have to be consistent. And step by step, I mean, it just makes sense when I think about walking the line. There's a goal, there's a focus, there's action, right? And there's repetition. In my mind, I keep on repeating certain things like, you know, I see the line, I see the line. When I talk about seeing the line, it's actually your imagination and seeing a solution, and you're taking steps on walking that 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 that
That's
solution.
hope. That's hope.
Right.
That's inspiration. That's not motivation. That's inspiration, right? From within, inspiration.
Mm,
And that's what we all need to get right. It's like self-talk and journaling. They're very personal. It's a very personal thing.
mm.
It's a
Yeah, I
very
mean, like,
personal thing. Yet it's a super. They're superpowers, man. Self-talk, the way you talk, the words you choose, and we all fall. I fall. Sometimes I listen to myself and I say, Santos, why did you say that? Stop that. You know, you need to change the word. You need to change what you're saying to yourself, right? Uh, but journaling again, going back to journaling, uh, it's and here's something that I want tonight. Write down one thing. Write down right now. If you're listening here, if you're here, please, if you're paying any attention, folks, this isn't entertainment. Like I said, we're not here to entertain anybody. Um, we, hopefully the show has some humor in it, right? We don't want Sahara Desert content coming at us. That's a little bit dry, man. By the way, if you have some wine, tea, maybe I don't know about wine. Some people like wine, drink tea, something, right? Get a little snack while you're here, and you make sure your distractions are all turned down, folks. This is an unusual podcast. I even know it's unusual. It's unusual, and we're getting things out of this podcast that you normally will not get out of. So tonight, right now, if you can, write down one thing. I wrote down something. I wrote down one thing already. One area of your life that feels cloudy, and ask yourself what's really going on here. Don't fix it. Just get it out. Put it on paper. All right. Number two, key point number two, journaling builds personal awareness. Journaling builds personal awareness. Jim, is personal awareness a big deal, or is it just, I can take it or leave it? What do you think about personal awareness
you
in
gotta
this
go ahead
time
and
that
be
we're living
aware
in
of
today?
yourself. You gotta be aware of yourself. You have to understand yourself. I mean, that's one of the greatest wisdoms, I think. Who's it? Aristotle or Socrates talked about that. You got to go and really understand yourself, know yourself, have that opportunity to reflect. You know, be honest with yourself. I mean, like, when are you vulnerable, right? I mean, be honest. I mean, you say that you can go out and change, but think there's certain conditions when you're weak, right? There's certain things that you don't do quite well, in certain circumstances. So if you know yourself and you know your weaknesses and you know your strengths, you can start working around them. You can start working around them. Uh, And being aware is important. Being aware of yourself, really knowing yourself, that's an important step. And you talk about it before, having those constant reminders, because we can journal, we can journal a lot. However, if we don't pick up that journal and read and go over it, and remind ourselves what the goal is, what we need to do, right? Why we need to do it. We're going to go out and be at the mercy of our emotions and our comfort zone, just drag us back to our old self. So it's really an intentional process. And for me, I'm forgetful. Okay, I'm forgetful. I got a lot of things going on, and I think it's because for me, I distract myself. I have so many distractions to go and take me back to a comfort zone, right? And it takes effort. So I think it's important to have those good constant reminders. What are we doing and why we're doing it? I mean, if you go on your exercises and you walk your daily walks, I mean that can be a reminder right there. What did I do today? What was good? What was bad? How can I improve? Getting into that kind of rhythm to help us have those constant daily reminders on where are we trying to
Amen.
go with our lives.
Yeah, your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders, right? Your good life. Your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. You got it. We all should memorize that one. My good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. Um, there's a scripture I want to share here real quick. Write the vision. This is in Habakkuk. It's in the Bible. I read the Bible. Do you read the Bible? Do you guys read the Bible? I read the Bible. This is in the Old Testament, the King James Version. It's Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. It says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Journaling along with walking, exercising is good, obviously. Journaling is something that exercises more than just writing. Journaling exercises something spiritually, something that's deeper. Journaling is not just writing, it is also words. It is also speech. It is also thought. So when you're journaling, you're involving yourself in something very, very deep, folks. Probably a lot deeper than you'll even realize or than you'll ever understand. All you know is I'm journaling and it feels good. Because it does. Journaling feels very, very, in fact, it feels more than good. It feels great when you're doing it. I know it's a chore, it's a practice. Santos, I wish I could. Well, you can. Well, Santos, I'm struggling with gambling. I wish I could. You can. It's a choice. Gambling's a choice for you, man. You come on here, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm struggling. You don't know what I know. I don't know what you're going through. I know what I've gone through, but I can tell you this much: anything that you're doing, journaling is a choice. Taking a walk through the park and deciding for yourself, you know what? I need some fucking mental clarity. Pardon my French. I need some fucking mental clarity right now. And there's times, man, Jim, guests, there's been times where I needed fucking mental clarity right now. In the past, that's cost me. It's landed me in jail, not just for one day, for several days. I'm talking about the past. I'm not talking about what happened to me recently because I wasn't doing anything wrong. Well, anyways, I didn't get a DUI, by the way, Jim. They're dismissing the whole thing. They tried to get me for
Okay.
a DUI, but I wasn't. I wasn't. The only influence I was under was probably medication. That was about it. But anyways, journaling has and will change your life and anybody else's life that gets involved with it. So write something down tonight. I'm going to encourage you to write one thing that's cloudy. Write it down right now so you can start working on it. Go ahead, Jim. You got a thought? We're going to go into point number 3 because we're getting closer to the end here. I wanted to say this again. Games of gamble may be rigged. I got to throw this in here. Boxing, football, etc. Gambling is fixed. It's a number on machines, folks, and this is something that you have to understand. When you go to the when you parlay a bet or whatever it is that you're doing, you're on the slot machine. You got to remember, if you hit that machine at the right time, it's going to spit money out. But what are your chances that you're going to get the right machine? What happens? Up until that point, you're losing royally. And that's the chance that you're going for as a gambler. If you're gambling a lot, you need to think about this, okay? You should be journaling about this. Understand what you're up against. Don't be going into that. If you're going to gamble, I'm going to recommend that you don't, right? What I'm going to recommend is that you're in your mind and figure out what is it that you want to do and what is it that you don't want to do. What's good and what's bad. That's why we're here, folks. So please listen. No, I'm just joking. But I'm inviting you to listen and pay attention. Like I said earlier, make sure that you have turned down every distraction. I'm not just going to say turn down all distractions, every distraction, so that you're here paying attention and you're getting something out of this. And you get rid of those thoughts that could be suicidal thoughts, thoughts of harming somebody else, etc., etc. Because when you're going down and you're losing and you feel lonely and you're just like nobody cares, nobody understands, nobody sees, even journaling is very, very difficult. It becomes a task. It is a task. It's a practice. You got to say it the way it is. You had a thought, Jim?
Yeah, I just want to go and say that journaling kind of slows the thought process down. You know, it gives you a chance to think
Yeah.
a little bit more because the imagination can go and run at light speed, and that negative self-talk, right? Doom and gloom, you know, all that kind of stuff can go ahead and cloud your mind if you're not careful. But when you go and write, when you give yourself an opportunity to start writing, you actually have a time to pause and think and you know, what do I want to go ahead and think about myself? You know, do I want to feel better about myself? How do I want to see myself? And then you start writing that down, and then you start coming up with, possible solutions, a pathway, right? So here it
Yep.
comes, right? You know, here comes your imagination working in a positive way instead of chaotic randomness, emotion driven, right? So getting that pen to paper gives you an opportunity to slow your mind down and start thinking, in a more of an intentional way, you know, uh,
Intentional
in a
way.
more of an organized way,
Yeah.
right?
That makes sense.
I mean, organizing your thoughts. It's like, it's like I don't really see ourselves wanting to go and live in a life of chaos, and when we go and put our, mind and our pen and our paper together, you know, we can start like cleaning up the mess, really, right? Because that's what, writing is all about,
Yeah.
organizing thoughts.
Yeah. And reprogramming the mind. See, people want to
Mhm.
change. Some people have to go to jail to change. I don't know if anybody remembers Sam Krish. Sam Krish was a police officer, the sheriff that I think he spent 10 years in prison. He's going to be getting out. He's going to be coming on our podcast. He's going to be making some major changes in his life. He's older.
Yeah. Wow.
He paid the price. Now he began changing before he went to prison. My point is that, some people end up in some kind of an accident or on their back in a bed in order to get themselves to stop and think. I don't know how all of this works, how God seems to get our attention sometimes, yet we can practice something like this. Just like the Habakkuk says, um, about writing the vision down so that they that read it will can run. You want to get to a place in your life where you're you're writing out what you want. When you start journaling in the beginning, it's really cloudy. It's really cloudy. But that's what you want, right? The more that you work on it, that cloudiness begins. You talking about clarity of mind. You begin The fog begins to lift. A lot of the things that you are are in the way, the focus thieves, when you begin to write, you begin to see through all that. That's the magic of writing. And people just, they give up on themselves. You give up on yourself too early. And listen, this can take long years. Oh, Santos, I need to change in 2 weeks. I've been working on myself for 59 years. I just hit 59. And it's just amazing. Some things you're going through, you have to learn to accept. It reminds me of the serenity prayer for the alcoholics. Lord, help me to change what accept the things that I have to accept as you get older. Anyhow, as we get older, speaking about the next episode, next Sunday, we're going to be here on Sunday, Lord willing. And it's going to be November, folks. This year is almost over, Jim.
Yeah, it's
We're
amazing.
still in
Almost in
October, but
November.
and by the way, happy birthday to those that had a birthday. I had a birthday in this month, so I'm 1 year older. I think I'm 60. I feel like 60, but they say I'm 59. So who knows? Only God knows. So happy birthday to those having birthdays this month. But November's coming quick. This year's over, man. And where are we going to find ourselves? Um, let me write this. Another thing, journaling. This is key point number 2 from key point number 2. Journaling builds personal awareness. Okay, so if you struggle, snuggle. If you struggle, snuggle. Snuggle with what? With if my your might be digital, right? Your journal might be digital. It doesn't matter whether it's digital, even though that the digital app kind of cheapens journaling a little bit because you're not writing, right? You're not writing. You're not physically, emotionally involved in that sense. But you can type or dictate into a electronic pad, which is different than writing. Writing something over and over, writing, if for instance, let's say that you wanted, right, you want to stop get you want to be a non-gambler, right? You just want to be a non-gambler, period. Santos, I want to be a non-gambler by before the new year, or by whatever you want. That's what you want, right? That's your focus. That's what you write down. That's exactly what you write down. What you're going to find is that when you write that down one way, you're going to, as you continue to write it, you're going to begin to see it differently. And you will write that same thing down differently and over until you get to a certain point, and that's what you'll continue. You'll get to a certain point where the statement that you put on paper is the one that you want to repeat to yourself over and over and over, and just you'll write it and write it. What is that doing, folks? That's rewiring your brain. Why is it rewiring your brain? Because you're looking at it, and you're probably reading it, and you're using your physical movements, your body. You're making your body move. Oh, but Santos, this is what you got to work on. This is how it all works. This is why journaling is powerful and profound. Well, maybe you never heard it like this. Well, this is what I've experienced. Jim's kind of experienced something similar. Sure, I'm giving you my experiences, but I'll tell you, journaling will rewire your thinking. It will, especially when you get to the point of clarity and you know exactly what you want. Things become a choice for you, folk. Imagine tomorrow or next week you wake up and you know in the clarity of your mind you can make a decision. I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. Okay, if I do that, I'm going to pay the consequences. I know I'm willing to accept the consequences. Okay, but I also know that I can walk away from something if I want to. I don't have to give in. I don't have to give in. That's what we want. And another thing, we're negotiating with people all the time, Jim. We are in a world of negotiating. Journaling helps us through all of that. We got to communicate with people, with our family members, with our children, with business partners, and journaling can help us centralize and become um more wise, maybe more focused, but you can become more wise simply because you're creating awareness and clarity. And hopefully that's what we've gotten out of this podcast tonight. Search me, O God. Psalm 139:23 says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. Know my thoughts. May God have mercy on us. Sometimes we have some of the most raunchiest thoughts ever. Oh man, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you get thoughts, yeah, you know, and see if there be any wicked way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. Jim talked about the line. Look at this. Psalm 139, verse 23, King James Version, Old Testament Bible. Lead me in the way of everlasting. God, that's what I want. Lead me in the way of everlasting. Man, that's goodness right there. This is the heartbeat of journaling, folks. This is what journaling's all about. That's why it is difficult sometimes for some people because it's a chore, it's a practice. Go ahead, Jim. You got thoughts? We're coming down to the end here.
Yeah, I want to get back to the idea of walking the line, exercise and just I was thinking about, how important this idea is because we can create this so-called line. We don't have to have it in front of us when we're walking. You go and create
Mm,
this line. You can imagine this line. The line is a goal, and a vision, right? It's your imagination of where you want to go. The line is taking me up the mountain, right? I can go and create that line. I can go and see that line. And I understand when I do my exercise, I take it step by step and I look at that line. And I know if I concentrate on that line and I don't drift, if I don't lose my focus, right, I will get there. If I concentrate and focus step by step, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prevent distractions from getting into my mind. I'm going to go ahead and push out the fear. I'm going to go ahead and push out the uncertainty and doubt, right? And I know what to do. I just concentrate on the line and I take my steps one step at a time. Okay. And you know what? This line I was thinking is like, it can be like a path that you're creating that creates an image, right? And that image is what you are creating in your life, right? Let's think about, the line of good health. You go ahead and walk that line. You stay consistent, right, with that line. You walk, you walk, you walk. And here you are, you just created a new image of yourself, someone who's healthy, someone who is not overweight, who's strong, right? There's so many lines that we can go ahead and be creating in our mind: financial, mental health, journaling. We go ahead and understand that all those lines together create this new image of yourself, someone that you really want to go ahead and be, this better person, so many different things that we can go ahead and concentrate on, right? But it just takes focus, right? It starts with imagination. Where do you want to go? You know, what do you want, or what do you need to do? Focus on that line. You go and take the steps and just concentrate on that one by one. What's the next step? What's the next step? Forget about what the end is. Focus on those steps. Focus on those
yeah.
steps, you know.
And the
And if you
and
do that, you build momentum, you build confidence, and you're going to go out and get to where you want to go. And I think the most important thing is that if you get on that track, you can really, really push back those focus thieves. the distractions. If you're just concentrating, this is what I want to go ahead and focus on. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, here's my first step. Here's my second step. Here I go. And like I said, walking really kind of, personifies, what we need to do in our lives to improve, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's activity, it's focus, you know. I mean, um, and that's why I got
Even
that's what I got out of walking, by myself without any distractions. I had some mental clarity, like you talked about.
Didn't I make sure I got my. Can you hear me, Jim?
okay. I'm just thought I was losing power here. Anyways, we're coming down to the wire here, but I do want to thank everybody. I don't know. I didn't see any questions. I know it's not easy, folks. Sometimes you know, we have to challenge each other. We need community. As much as people hate to hear this, it's truth. I don't like to hear it sometimes myself because I'm a loner. I'm originally a loner myself, Jim. I'm an introvert myself. I've had to work on my introversy. I've had to work on my introversy, but I am an introvert by nature. I am. Um, what was I going to say here? Did I get distracted? Yes, I did. All right.
One thing that I want to go ahead and include, Santos, I'm sorry, you know, if you keep at it, miracles are going to go and happen in your life. Miracles will
I'm
happen.
going to ask you, what's that, Jim?
Yeah, miracles will happen if you keep at it. If you keep on doing what you told yourself you'll do, these miracles are going to happen. You know, these new changes. You're going to go ahead and see, these remarkable changes that
Hmm.
happen if you stick to it. It's hard work, right? But over time, you're going to go out and see the fruits of your labor, and that should give you some confidence to keep doing what you're doing. You got to have faith. You got to have faith by, doing it every day, walking that line over and over again. Promise yourself, do what you told yourself that you're going to do. Journal, right? Get help. Go to the meetings, read the books, right? Connect
Hmm.
every day, you know,
Yeah,
you're going to find some big changes.
either that, or you're just going to live on autopilot, right? You're going to be on autopilot, reacting, guessing, forgetting. We're doing some of this anyways, right? We're doing some of this anyways, but you don't want to be in this complete state where you're just basically on autopilot. You're reacting, you're guessing, you're forgetting. When you write, you slow down the noise and make the invisible visible. Remember this, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. You want to change, you want to change your life, you want to change the way you think, you have to start today. You have to start tonight. And again, I'm going to recommend you find one thing tonight to start writing upon or about. One thing that you need clarity, that you need support with, that you need guidance with. Start, even if you get a piece of paper. I remember I used to tell people, and I used to do this to myself. I would get napkins, pieces of paper sometimes if I didn't have a pad, and I would take that piece of paper and put it in my wallet, and I would write notes in that piece of paper. And if I went to the John, or I went somewhere, the John, I'm talking about the bathroom, I would pull that piece of paper out and I would read it. I would read it to myself. I'd be reading it over whatever it was that I wrote. And these are little tricks, mental tricks that you can do on yourself too. You're walking, you're doing a light walk. You can grab a piece of paper that you wrote your own poem on and you can read that to yourself. So not only are you stimulating your body emotionally by walking, which helps become more receptive to input. See, right now, if we're sitting here, you're really not going to be too, unless you're moving around, you're animated, you're not going to be opening yourself up for input that much. But if you're moving around, you're sipping on, you're eating popcorn, you're writing things down, now you're opening yourself up for more, you become more like a sponge versus just sitting there like a bump on the, like a frog, right? A frog on one of those big logs by the river there near the lily patch, right? Ribbit, right? That's maybe not funny, but truth is, you got to move, right? Anthony Robbins, Brian Tracy talks about movement. Napoleon Hill talks about movement. You can write things down, but you got to be able to read it, and somebody's got to run with it, like the Bible says. You got to run with it. Eventually, you got to put action. James in the New Testament says faith without works is dead. All right. So this is the heartbeat of journaling, folks. This is the heartbeat of journaling. This is what journaling is all about. And we've only scratched the surface, Jim. We've only scratched the surface about journaling. All right. Each night you can write about what went well today, what I learned, what you learned today, what do I want to improve tomorrow? What do I want to improve tomorrow starting today? All right. Number 3, journaling heals the mind. Journaling assists to heal the mind. When you write, you release. You're transferring weight from your soul to the page. And that's therapy, my friend. I call that spiritual therapy. 1 Peter 4:7, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. So we've come down to the call to action here. And actually, it's not a call to action. There's still a couple more points here. We're not going to get to this tonight. We've got more. So we're going to extend this episode probably into Wednesday or next Sunday in the new month. So we'll get more into this journaling because, again, we're just scratching the surface here. And I think we need to dig deeper. Hopefully you'll catch the bug and journaling will help you. And who knows, you might use journaling. You don't have, some people use it for the rest of their lives, on and off, on and off. I remember when I first started using journaling, it was just all the time throughout the day. Several times a day I was writing. I just forced it into my mind is what I did until it clicked. And then I realized, wait a minute, I have a choice. You know what? I'm not a gambler. I'm not a gambler. My desire is broken. And I did it. And that's my thought. And that's the way that I live. And it is what it is. So we're going to do a short call to action. Jim, share your last words. And again, by the way, those of you that are here, I still see the numbers are still up there. Thank you. I haven't seen any comments, but listen, folks, come on, get involved. Ask a question. It helps me if you ask a question. It helps Jim. It helps you also, and it helps others. So ask, challenge us, because either that or you're just going to let the machines challenge you. Yeah, the machines will challenge you. They'll take everything you got. You might hit a jackpot late. Well, Santos, I hit the right machine. Yeah, but go back to that same machine and see if it does it again. It's not going to do it. All right. It's fixed. It's all numbers. And it's not luck. You got to find the right machine. So if you want to get really smart, I guess that would be something, huh? If you could walk into a casino and detect which machine was going to hit, you knew it was going to hit. Man, if you can get that kind of knowledge, if you can pinpoint 4 out of 5, then maybe your trips to the casino might be worth it. But I don't recommend that. Anyways, I don't recommend that. I recommend coming here and being a part of this community, growing, learning about who you are, and what is your very best. What I mean, are you finished? Are you done? Are you still alive? Can you dig deeper? That's what I have, folks. So, like Lord willing, I will be seeing you guys on Wednesday, either Wednesday or Sunday for sure. Jim, last words all the way from Tucson. All the way from Tucson.
Yeah, I
Tucson.
just want to go ahead and just ask everyone to consider intentional rituals. Intentional rituals, whether it be journaling, whether it be taking those walks alone, right? Meditation, you know, those are the things that will get you in the mode for uh, improving yourself. Okay, those things that you do intentionally, right, are going to go ahead and make the difference in making you different than what you were before. Right, it's all about building those habits and having, like you said before, Santos, those good, constant, positive reminders. Right, those intentional rituals will provide you with being on the straight and narrow and not drifting, because you know you're grooving these good habits, right, that take you away from you know all those negative distractions, right, and take you towards where you want to go.
Well, with those words said, folks, again, if you have a comment, we'll wait a minute. I'll wait a minute. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Every thumbs up lets YouTube know that we're doing something good. We may not be perfect, but we're doing something good, right? We're not, nobody's perfect. Only God is. So thank you for those new subscriptions. Thank you if you're a new subscriber. And make sure that you turn your notifications to all. That way, when we go live or we put a new video or short, you'll be notified on that. I'm asking you to support this community. There's a free quick guide. I think it's pretty cool. It'll help you for sure. 2 ebooks, short. They're short reads, mind stimulators. And one of them is about mind mouth power. Mind mouth power. Those are short ebooks. And we've got tools on Amazon. If anybody, it's a lot of the stuff. It's free. There's no cost to it. So I'm just asking if you want to do this, $7 or more, you can donate to this mission. You can buy a super sticker. You can donate that way if you want to do that. So thank you for hanging out with Jim and I. Jim and I. We'll see you either on Wednesday, again, 7:30. We may be changing times. I know Jim's might be limited to joining. Who knows? Maybe Jim might create his own podcast and I might be a guest on his podcast. Never know, Jim. Jim's Corner, Gorilla Bikes, and more.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
know. So, and again, we're here to help. You want to create a podcast? Listen, you got a business idea. We're not, I'm not going to say to you, I'm a millionaire, but if you need somebody to brainstorm, you got a good idea, business idea, and you think it'll work and you need somebody to brainstorm with, like I said, I can give you about 45 minutes of my time. I'm sure if Jim, we're both busy, but if you need something, we're here to help you create for your family, okay, for your community. That's what we're here for. Soldiers of Self-Mastery. Strength through peace. I'll see you at the top on the inside on my next one. Once again, thanks, Jim, for hanging out. I hope you guys got something good out of this one. At least one good thing that you wrote down on this podcast.
Thanks, Santos. You have a good week.
You too, Jim. And to the rest of you guys,
here.
we've got a StreamYard platform coming on soon, so you can join us on camera if you're not chicken.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye, folks.